Alright, hi everyone, my name is Saumil Shah and welcome to the course Internet of Things. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about the Raspberry Pi, getting started with Raspberry Pi, how do we install the operating system, how do we get started with the board, and the programming language that we are going to use for the Raspberry Pi would be Python. So I expect most of you would be knowing Python. So before beginning the class,
Excuse me. That's okay, can start.
So before beginning the class, let's do a small introduction about yourself. What are you majoring in and what programming language you are comfortable in? So let's start from you if you don't know. Just an introduction about you. What is your name? What is your master's and what is your programming language that you are comfortable in?
Well, my name is Akram. I'm a electrical engineering major, master's degree. I took Python first semester, so I'm familiar with Python.
Python. Okay, good.
I'm a PhD student in computer science engineering. I use C, assembly language, and I'll be, learning Python today.
That's nice. Good to know.
My name is Zainab. I'm a graduate student. My major is computer engineering. And I work with C++, C#, and Python.
Okay. How about you?
My name is Alex Boudan. I'm actually a double major in computer science and tech management. I'm old, so I've actually done Pascal, C, C++, a little bit of Linux scripting,
That's
but no Python.
No
So
worries.
I'll be learning Python today.
That's nice. How about you?
Yeah, my name is Alex. I'm doing my undergraduate in computer science. I think Java is my best language, but I'm pretty good with Python also.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
My name's Scott. I'm a computer science undergraduate as well. And Java is probably my main, and then C++, C#, and a little bit of Python.
That's nice. How about you?
My name is Franz Charles, Master Computer Science, language Java,
Oh,
and a
that's
little
nice.
bit of C++.
Little bit? Okay, that's nice. Yes.
Neri Ruiz, Master of Computer Engineering, and mostly Java.
Very
That's
long.
nice. Good.
My name is Leonard. I'm an undergrad in computer science. I'm comfortable with Python and Java.
Lovely. Python is next.
My name is Costa. I'm sophomore undergrad, and I'm familiar with Python and Java.
Oh, that's great. So most of you know Python. So for the people who don't know Python, don't worry. We will try to go as basic as possible. So let us start this presentation. So let us see what is IoT first. So let's see a small video on IoT.
Let's sit here.
So this is a small video on IoT, what IoT is all about. So just a rough idea about IoT.
I start my day like a sun rays. I tap the phone, coffee's on. I mow the lawn, touch the shine. So connected, so effective. I let it drop, clean it up. Heat it smart, I do my part. Get in the car, superstar. They're watching me. IoT, 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 IoT. I check my stocks. What a shot. Buy some prom. My oven's on. Coming home. Future zone. All for me. IoT, IoT, IoT. Live like a Bosch with many connectivity solutions for a smarter future. From Bosch.
So this was a small video on IoT. So basically it showed us what is the power of IoT. We can connect each and everything to the internet, including your all small sensors. It may be a coffee machine or a self-driving car. So let me go with what are we going to learn in this course basically. So we are going to cover the following cloud platform, that is thingspeak.com, to upload data, to retrieve data. That's a cloud platform. We are going to learn about IFTTT, that is if this, then that. Then we are going to learn about Amazon Web Services. We are going to learn about Adafruit.io, that's again a cloud service. We are going to learn about the most popular cloud platform, that is Bing, for iOS, Android, and for everything. Of course, we are going to use Python. We are going to learn about Twilio, how to use the Twilio API. We are going to learn about Node-RED, how to develop the entire user interface in Node-RED, so we are going to learn that. We are going to also learn about the databases, so I have a complete bootcamp on databases. So how to log your data on a database, so SQLite, we are going to learn entire SQLite on that. I have also included some deep learning and machine learning in this course. So basically we are going to train some data, we'll give the data to the neuron and we would expect the neuron to learn it. And whenever we give an unexpected value, the neuron will predict the answer. So that is deep learning. And after that, something that is not listed here would be data visualization using Python, Pandas module. So we're going to learn about matplotlib tutorials and how to plot graph. We're also going to learn about data manipulation. So you are given a data and in that data, some data are missing. So how are we going to recover that using Pandas module, that is Python. So these are the these are the labs that we are going to learn for the Raspberry Pi. So first of all, today we will learn about the introduction, how to set up a Raspberry Pi, very basic, how to use your laptop. So we're going to learn about that without using a keyboard and mouse for the Raspberry Pi. Then blinking our first LED, we're going to learn how to blink an LED, that is an output device. Then we are going to learn how to read an input device, that is a button. So button is an input device. Then I'm going to include some user interface, that is TK inter with Python. So how about like I would be giving you an exercise like whenever you click a button on a user interface, the lights is turned on. So we're going to incorporate like the TK inter user interface in Python. Then I'm going to introduce you to the complete bootcamp using MySQLite. So how about whenever you press the button, every time you press the button, the date and the time when the light was turned on will be recorded on a database. So you will be learning about the SQLite databases. Then we will learn about the park sensor. So basically, whenever a car goes behind it, after a certain distance, you will get a red, the red LED is turned on, indicating that you have a distance is pretty less. That is the park sensor. Getting started with open source cloud API. So I'll just show you about these cloud platforms. So we're going to learn how to use these with Python and Raspberry Pi. The main thing we are going to learn about Node-RED. So we are going to learn how to program entire user interface. Let's say after the Node-RED lecture, we would be giving you an example that you have a house and the house has 2 floors and has 2 bedrooms. So you're going to program the entire user interface for that house using Node-RED. Simply drag and drop. We're going to learn about data logging systems. So we don't need a separate data logger. Python already has that. That means when you open a file, you have to just write inside the file. So we're going to learn a little bit about data logger. Coming to the voice interface, so we are going to learn about Alexa Labs. So how do we use Alexa with our IoT devices? Then we are going to learn about the Google Assistant Lab, that is incorporating your own Google Assistant on a Raspberry Pi. And an introduction to machine learning, deep learning using Python. So these are the stuff that we are going to learn in the Raspberry Pi. Coming to the NodeMCU, NodeMCU is again another board which looks similar to like this. It's a IoT board. So we usually programming it in MicroPython and C language. So that's the NodeMCU board. So what are we going to learn in the NodeMCU? Well, an introduction to ESP8266, how to read, how to write, basic stuff. Then again, blinking an LED, getting started with Python serial interface. So getting data from NodeMCU through Python. So we're going to learn about Python a lot. Getting started with ThinkSpeak, again, we're going to use the cloud server and Blink, Adafruit.io. Then comes the Arduino, that is these boards right here. So what are we going to learn in that? So an introduction to Arduino. Of course, every board will be having an introduction how to use that board. Input, outputs. Blinking an LED, how to turn an LED on. That is the blinking LED. Arduino meets Python. So whenever you read any data from an Arduino, so these are the board that does not have any IoT part. So how do you use Python to post data using Arduino, which does not have any ESP, Wi-Fi chip or a stuff. So we are going to use Python to read data from Arduino and post it on the cloud server. So that is what we are going to do. Controlling analog inputs, that is sensors. We are going to learn about analog inputs. Controlling LEDs from digital inputs, of course, digital analog. Interfacing LCD, interfacing sensors with ZigBee. And the few things that is not listed here, that is, we're going to learn to make your own Android app. And we're going to control some LEDs and lights using our Arduino and MIT App Inventor. So you would learn to make Android apps as well in this class. So this is a complete overview about the IoT class that what we are going to learn so far. So let's get started with the first thing, that is a Raspberry Pi. Okay, so what is Raspberry Pi? So I hope you all of you have the board in their hand. So Raspberry Pi is a microprocessor, not a microcontroller. So let me tell you the difference between a microprocessor and a microcontroller. Microcontroller means to control stuff. When it comes to controlling motors, that is microcontrollers. What is microprocessor? When you want to process the data, you want to analyze the data, that is when we use microprocessor. So so this is the Raspberry Pi. So let me show you what are the different ports and how do we use it basically. So the first thing right here, this one is the power supply. So usually you provide 5 volt. If you provide more than 5 volt, you will burn the chip. So usually please provide 5 volt and minimum with 1 ampere of current. That is the power source. HDMI to give a output on the screen, that is HDMI. You have a composite analog output. That means you can give an output to a normal old TV, CRT TVs that has the 3 cable like red, yellow and white. So it can also provide you that. Right here between the HDMI and the composite board, you see a small slit. That is usually used for the camera module of the Raspberry Pi. So let's say you want to interface a camera module with the Raspberry Pi. So here is where you can insert a camera module. Okay. We have an Ethernet port. So if you want to connect your projects to internet or IoT, you can connect it via LAN. We have full USB ports. We have 4 USB ports. These ports can connect your keyboard, your mouse and other input-output controllers. Then over here we have the GPIO. What is GPIO? For controlling LEDs, reading sensor. If you want to do anything, these are the pin that we use. That is called as GPIO, General Purpose Input and Output Devices. That is about that. And if you flip the board, you can see there is a small slot for the SD card. So that is where your software, I mean your operating system, it goes inside the Raspberry Pi. So you can install pretty much any software, that is Linux, Ubuntu, Raspbian, Windows 10, Fedora, Kali Linux, anything you want you can install on this. Simply you have to download the image file and burn it using a software which we are going to see in the later presentation. So here are some of the specifications of the board which I already discussed, so I will be skipping this slide. Okay. So what is GPIO? Let me stress a little bit about the GPIO, that is General Purpose Input Output. So here you see there are 2 kind of numbering that you need to take care. So here you see GPIO 27, 22, the names start with GPIO. And right on this side you see there are the numbers. So whenever you want to use this, let's say you want to use the 3rd pin, so this is the BCM configuration, that is the GPIO configuration. But if you want to use the physical pin number, if I want to use the pin number 5, that is pin number 5 right on the board, so I use the board, dot board. So if you are using this convention, you use dot board, and if you are using the GPIO convention, you say dot BCM.
So
this would be clear in the later part.
If it's difficult to see it, just open the manual I sent you. Open the manual while you are watching here, because small, the font is small. So it's in the manual that I sent you. I told you to download it to your laptops. So just give him 2 minutes to.
Sure.
Hi, you can ask him. Somil, they have a doubt.
So yes, sure.
This, what you're showing the pins.
No.
Not these, right? The board itself. What is the board?
I have a question. When you refer to one of the GPIO, like you refer
So
to
this is the general.
So that is depending upon whenever you are coding like this, if you want to use the physical, you will specify the physical motion, this not board.
So every
that is
column
the
should
There's a
physical.
female, you get with the female.
But if you want to program it in
It depends what I'm using.
Depends on how you use it, we're gonna see
Can you
it.
use
So
the
this,
dot
for example, we put here, and you need a female. For example, this is female,
Okay.
for example, if this.
So these are the physical, 1, 2, 3, those are the physical.
So you can build your
If you want to
circuit
use
here.
that one, you would write that in the software, I'll show you that. But if you are
So
using
this is a big
GPIO,
board.
let's say you can,
The Ethernet port. So
yeah,
if I
what's
start
down
with
there?
this,
Yes, that's it. So that is how the pin convention works.
alright, so then that's 1 up top, and that's 1
That's
top
right.
left, or bottom right.
Bottom right, yes, that's right.
Okay.
So let me just show you on the Google, if you just open the web browser and say, let me just maximize a bit. So whenever you just type Raspberry Pi pinout on Google, so the first link would be, all the images are there. So you can see the image on Google and you can pretty much make out if you don't have the, you can't see that presentation.
Just one thing about this, because I know that there's like a different kind of Raspberry Pi, and none of them, like, they not have the same board. Like for Raspberry Pi 2 and 3.
Oh, this is the
We have
latest one.
three, yeah, this one is three, because you might like just go for another one and find another board.
I mean,
We
we
might
explaining what
confuse
we have,
what we have.
so what we don't have, we did not hear about. Yeah, we didn't know anything about that.
Because he said just go on Google, like you will find all the kind
No,
of
but
badges.
most of the pin configuration, they do not change it usually with the board. So this convention is usually followed. The processing power of that is usually updated when a new Pi comes.
Just move on.
Okay. Alright, so we learned about the GPIO. What is GPIO? So there are two kind of pin numbering, as I said, the physical and the PCM pin numbering. So I've just mentioned it right there. So whenever you want to, turn an LED on or off, so you have to install the library, right? So how do you do that? Is sudo pip install rpi.gpio on the terminal. This will install the library. Your Raspberry Pi are already installed with this library, so you don't have to do that. But just in case if you're curious, you can open your terminal and type this command. So we are going to see that in the later one.
So when they buy a new one, just let them know, when they buy a new one, it's fresh, does not have any operating system.
No, it does not have.
So you have to put one of the operating systems. Like your laptop, your computer has an operating system. Like this is Windows 10, Windows 7, Linux, whatever. So this could have like one of 7, I think, different operating systems. We are using Raspbian.
Yes, Prabhu.
We are using Raspbian in this course. But does it install Windows IoT?
Everything, yes.
Okay, so you could, for example, also have Windows IoT in your device. Anyways, the kind of the default, the most common one, there's an operating system called Raspbian, and that's what we are. And it's a version of Linux.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
going to show them.
so what we are, that's what we are using.
Spell that, please.
Sorry.
Spell it for him.
Raspberry.
Raspbian.
RASPBIAN. That's the operating system that we are going to use. Raspbian.
You'll see it in a second.
Yes, Steve. So let's move a little bit forward with the presentation. So what do you need to set up a Raspberry Pi to get started with it? So you need couple of stuff that is already provided in your kit. So let me just say that if you don't have it, after the presentation, when we are doing the labs, you can come here and I could give you the parts. So the first of all, you need a micro SD card, that is in which the operating system has to be installed. In order to install an operating system, you need a card reader, right? You need a card reader to flash the operating system. If you don't have that, you can come in and collect the micro SD card after the presentation. Then you need a power supply to turn it on. Then you need an HDMI cable to see the display basically. And in order to connect the display to our the monitors, you need a converter, so which is already provided in your the kit. And of course, you already have a keyboard and a mouse with you, so you could take out the keyboard and the mouse and plug it in.
So that's the converter, and this is the board, you have it, and that's the power, that's the HDMI cable, so that's the HDMI cable.
Sure. So that's the HDMI cable that we have. Then we have the power cord inside. Then we have the Raspberry Pi. Then we have this converter to connect it to your monitor to see the display. And later on, we won't be needing a display, a keyboard or mouse, because I'm going to show you how to SSH or use Raspberry Pi remotely without a computer. So that's all you need for getting started. Yes.
Oh, do we have to use a converter to see the?
Yeah, but initially you have to use it because you have to do some setup to use it remotely. So initially you would be requiring the
But
monitor.
I have an HDMI, so I can just plug in.
But the monitor, this monitor won't have an HDMI. You need a video out, right? So for the first initial setup, you would be needing that.
So there is no, this monitor does not come with HDMI, so you need a computer. Guys, I mean, so just. Go ahead.
Does this kit have the USB adapter for burning the memory?
No, I would be giving you that.
So guys, I mean, just follow, I mean, a lot of information, just be patient. Just, you know that, if you miss some information, you're gonna do it by your hands, so you're gonna know it. So just, so far you know what you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what we have learned, the most important thing we learned, that this supposed to come, no operating system. So we have to install operating system. After you install operating system, this is a full computer. That's a full computer. What do you see? It's a full computer. What is the difference between this computer and this laptop? Smaller memory, smaller processing power, and all of that. But that's what you need to control the small stuff. All right. So we're gonna about to build a full computer at that much. All right. Can you run Python? You could run Python. Can you run a C code on it? You could run a C code. Can you run, a GUI program? You could run anything. It's a computer. Just be patient.
Then why did they say that that Raspberry Pi runs on Python if you can run other ones too?
Or if you are running Windows operating system, you can run Python as well on that.
Yeah.
But you're not exclusively limited to Python.
No.
No. You can use any language that you.
Oh, so I was under the impression that if you use Raspberry Pi, you have to use Python.
Python is an open source, so a lot of libraries are there. So we usually prefer Python, but you can use Java.
So let me explain that. This is an operating. This is a computer.
Yes.
Okay. Forget about Python now. You could watch YouTube. Anything you could run in operating. You could do. Okay, you could do anything with it. Computer, right? Now, if you need to install like an interpreter, Python interpreter in your computer, can you?
Sure.
You can here also. Now, what's the difference? The difference, has something called GPIO.
Right.
GPIO, right? This does not have GPIO. It has a serial port,
Right.
it has a parallel port, but does not have GPIO.
You can get much lower.
So this here, you don't have a bin, you could connect to sensor to read it from sensor. You could read it from a sensor. You could connect this to a sensor. Where is Python come?
The higher level.
You're gonna write a program that reads the data from the GPIO. That's it. So Python is something has nothing to do with the operating system now.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, this is a good gift for your son or daughter in the Christmas time. That computer they could do anything without even has to do anything with Python.
Yeah.
Or Python is just, and you could write C code. You could write any program that could give you access to the GPIO. Why we need the GPIO? So if we can connect this pen to your light, so from your Python code or C code or Java code or whatever, you could send an instruction, turn the light off or on. Very clear. So we're using it for control. That's what it is. So let's one by one. Let's work with the computer.
Sure.
We are doing a computer.
So after the presentation, I'm gonna actually show how to burn it. So we'll go very basic, step by step. So
And by the way, Sumail took this course before, and he scored very well, and he has a great project gonna show you. So just be patient with him, okay? I'm here to help you with our PhD student here.
I don't know anything in IoT.
Come on.
Alright, so let's move forward with the presentation. So we learned about the basics of the Pi. Let's move forward. So preparing your SD card, how do you prepare your SD card? This is just a slide. I'm going to actually physically show you on my computer. How do we do that? So don't worry about that. So just in case if you are curious, there is a website about www.raspberrypi.org/downloads. If you go there on that website, there will be a download link for a Raspbian image. So you can download the image file. It's about 2 GB or 2 gigabits in size. So there are two versions. One is the light version and another the stretch version. Light version is with a smaller capacity. The stretch version would be about 4 GB, which has a lot more functions basically. So then we need a disk imager. So can I just know how many people are using Windows? Can raise your hands, please? Okay, so we have Windows. Okay, how many people are using Mac? Okay, that's Mac. Okay, good. So for the Windows user, to burn the operating system, there's a software known as Win32 Disk Imager. So if you Google Win32 Disk Imager, you can download that. But for the Mac user, if you're a Mac, what you can do is download Etcher.
Right.
I'm gonna show you.
Is it there or?
Yeah, I'm gonna show it on the website
okay.
after the presentation.
Yeah.
Everything. So those are the software that you need. Now to erase the micro SD card, let's say you did something wrong and the SD card.
So just, I gotta interrupt you when I feel
No
things.
problem.
So basically now we're gonna bring the operating system to your Raspberry Pi, right? We're gonna put it in the flash. We have to put it in the flash. How are you gonna put it in the flash? You have to burn it to the flash. And there is 2 softwares to burn it to the flash. And this will become your operating system.
Yeah.
So you cannot operate your board without the SD card. Okay?
There's one thing you're not explaining. Forgive me. See, what about the interpreter for the, I assume Java?
It's built in with operating
It
system.
is, as well as the
Yes.
Python interpreter?
Yes, it is built in.
What about the C compiler?
Or you can download the interpreter sudo apt-get C or whatever, or if you're using Turbo C, then you can just download it for Linux, and yeah, you can run your C program.
But you have to use a specific one for this particular?
Yeah, for the Linux there will be a different setup. For a Windows it will be a different. So for every operating system has a different setup. So whatever operating system you're using, so you can go on the website and download the setup file for that suitable operating system.
Is it meant also for specifically for a Raspberry Pi?
No, there is nothing like that. You can just Google it. I'm gonna show you that all the interpreter. So for the Windows, Win32 Disk Imager is the software. For the Mac, this is the software. Now, if you want to erase the micro SD card, if you did something wrong, you need a software to do that, right? If you guys are using Windows, so the software would be SD card formatter. But if you're using a Mac, I'm going to show you the software that is there. I don't recollect the name at present, so I'm going to show you that. You can delete
Right, the first one to burn the image, the second one to format.
Yes.
Okay, so it's good always to start with the formatting, right?
Yes, that's right.
So when you have a SD card now, start with the format. So Google, if you have Windows, Google the first two, download them to your laptop, keep them ready there, know where they are.
So your Raspberry Pis are already installed, but when you buy a new one, this is just for the information how you install it. I'm going to show you that.
Okay.
And now, in order to connect the Raspberry Pi remotely, that what I mean to say remotely is, I don't need to use my keyboard or a mouse because it's pretty inconvenient. Always I need to plug my keyboard, mouse, my display. So is it possible I can use my Raspberry Pi remotely on my laptop? I can see the entire screen, I can program my Raspberry Pi. Yes, that is the software. We have PUTTY for the Windows. For the Mac, you don't need any, that's PuTTY or the way you say that. It's an SSH software to get SSH access inside the Raspberry Pi. But for the Mac, terminal is already there on the Mac, so you don't need any software for that. I'm going to show you how to connect remotely to a Raspberry Pi. So let me just move a little forward with the presentation.
Is PuTTY give you the whole interface?
What?
Or they give you just the
Everything.
terminal?
It's a whole interface. It's like you see.
Alright. Let's take a virtual machine.
Yeah.
I would request everyone to take the notes of these commands because these are the few commands that is the entire Raspberry Pi programming is on these few commands. If you know this command properly, you are really good at programming any.
Let's just show. I mean, this is a Python now. So what I think, let's just finish the first section. Make sure they have the SD card. They're running with boot them. It's connected remotely. Okay. Like forget about the program.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you how to prepare your micro SD card on the Raspberry Pi.
So your machines, you don't have to do that. Your Raspberry Pi already, we did that for you. Right, Sumel?
Yeah, sure.
So what is the SD card in here? Yes, it's already done for you. So that means you don't have to format. You don't have to burn the image. You don't have to do this and this. It's already done for you. He will do it in his machine for one of them, for one of them, just to show you how to do it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you decide to buy your mom one in the Christmas, okay, it will not be burned. Okay, so you could do it this way.
Alright, so let's learn how to flash a software on a Raspberry Pi. So perhaps you would be requiring one of these converters or a USB flash drive. So you can insert your micro SD card inside this, or I already have one. So there's a small slot right here. I'm gonna place my micro SD card inside this. Usually it is recommended if you are using a micro SD card at least 16 GB or above with a class 10. What is class? Basically related to speed. How fast is your micro SD card? So when you buy a micro SD card, at least take a class 10 and a 32 GB or 16 GB and above. That is what recommended.
Or does not make a difference. Very cheap now, so.
Yeah, so does not make any difference. So that is what is recommended for the setup.
See it? This is just interface. Okay, now it becomes USB. It's USB. See, it's becoming like USB. We'll put it inside it.
2.0, right? USB 2.0.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Okay. So I have my micro SD card installed in my USB reader. I'm going to insert in my computer. I'm using a Mac right now, but I'm also going to show you on Windows as well. So let's get started with that.
I'm not sure when most of the people use Windows. Do you have Windows?
I started using Mac now.
You are a Mac person?
But I can show
No, that's fine.
No worries. So we can do that on the Mac as well. So let me just first move over the Mac. So let me close this tab. So I'm going to the website known as raspberrypi.org. I'm going from very basic right now. Okay, Google. Type Raspberry. So the first link right there. So this link. You can head over to the download section to download the Raspbian image. So here you see these are the operating system. Now let me just give you a little bit information about these operating system, what they are used for. So Raspbian is the main image that we are going to use it. So then we have Raspberry Pi Desktop, which is a full stretch version, which has a lot more features inside. Okay. Then we have Ubuntu Mate. So if you're familiar with Linux, you want to use Linux, so go ahead and download Ubuntu. We have Snappy. Then we have Windows IoT Core, as Professor mentioned, if you want to install Windows and get started. So you can do that. Now
So
here
the
is
Windows IoT is like your Windows, okay? Just a smaller version, but you'll have, so if you're a Windows person, I recommend to try it.
Yes, Professor, I'll show
So
you.
I'm all for that.
So now there are some couple of operating system which is pretty interesting. You are probably Chromecast, right? So basically used for casting your videos or images or your audio signals, or you want to play some music. So basically what OSMC does is basically convert your Raspberry Pi into a media center. So you can, let's say you have a hard disk and you have all the movies inside. So remotely you can access all the movies from the hard disk. On the Raspberry Pi you can watch it. So that converts into a media service. You can watch movies and download apps like Netflix and a lot more on the Raspberry Pi. So actually convert it into a media center. So then we have a couple of more. If you want to play games on that, if you would like to download games like Mario and Brick games. So Raspberry Pi also has that. There's an operating system. I don't recollect the name, but I'll get back to you on that. So you can install that and you can also play games as well. So these are the operating system that the Raspberry Pi supports. We also have unofficial operating system. Those are the server softwares. If you want to install a server on your Raspberry Pi, you can do that as well. So this is the software that I'm going to go. If you click on the Raspbian. So here you see there are three options. Raspberry Pi Stretch, Desktop and Recommended software. So it's a complete big software. Then we have the light version, which is a smaller.
And that's what you are
size.
using. In this class, they're using Raspbian. Okay. If you need to install another operating system, install it for yourself and learn it by yourself, try it yourself. Because if we start playing with multiple operating systems in the class, we'll never finish what we need to cover, right? So let's focus in one. Once you know one, you could do the other one.
We can have two on the same Raspberry Pi?
No,
Yes, you can have multiple. You can have 3, 4 with
You could have it in the same too.
Same, yeah. The software used for that will be Berryboot. So what is Berryboot? If you want to install 5 operating systems, so whenever it boots up, it gives you an option which one you want. So 5, 6, you name it, you can. But the only thing is you should have.
Here?
Yes.
You have
But
to
the
have
capacity
video.
of your card should be high. That's the only thing. Any doubts or questions so far? Okay, let's move on. So these are the software. You can click the download zip. I've already done that, so I'm not going to do it once again. So now I have downloaded the software. I opened my downloads, and here you see that is the software of Raspberry. Here you see that is an image file. .img would be the name. Would be the extension. Sorry. Now, if you want to flash it, you have to use the software, as I said, Etcher. So here is the Etcher. How do you get the software? Let me. Okay. All right. So I just opened my Etcher software right there. All right. So what I have to do is simply press OK for the first time. I insert my micro SD card reader on my Mac OS. Alright, so I've inserted my card and here you see it shows a blank. So now you have to click on an option known as select image. So I simply select it. Select the image file that you want to write on your micro SD card, maybe Windows 10 or whatever. So just hit open button and simply flash. And it will ask you for a password on a Mac. So let me enter that. So, and it will take a while, about 10 to 15 minutes to flash your operating system. So you have to be patient. So after flashing it, this is the way.
So the same thing. Let's not waste time about the Windows. The same thing. The Windows, you have to download the image, and the same thing. You just move it. I mean, if you have an old one, old SD card, whatever, you need to format it. You could format it. This will help you to format it. Very simple. All right.
Okay.
That's an installation. Your operating system, the Raspbian is here for you, the stretch one, right?
Yes, that's
so you are ready. Okay. And by the way, all what he said, it's in the manual step by step. The manual is so boring that even if we sneeze while we're presenting, it's there, sneezing. Okay. So that's what it is. Okay. So all the details in the manual.
Yeah, so the manual is about 350 to 400, it's pretty long. So, so let's say I interrupted my flashing software and my SD card is now corrupted. I need to make it proper. So how do I do it on a Mac? So I go to my Launchpad and I say SD card formatter. Let me quickly show you without wasting much of time. So it says automatically boot. I say format. Please make sure you're not erasing your Mac OS, otherwise you will, your PC will stop working. So while formatting it, please be very careful with that.
Yeah, select the right one.
So select the right one as the name said.
Select C code.
Alright, the SD card is being formatted now. So here you can see now it is. So you can erase it. Alright, so you have already installed the operating system, and after powering up your Raspberry Pi, you should see a screen something like this. So let me just switch to the input to HDMI 1.
Do you need them to try it first time to connect it to the
how about if I explain it and then they can try. So
how about directly they connect to
the?
But for the first time you have to connect to the monitor, right?
Yeah, first time they have to. That's what I said.
Okay. So while he's doing that, connect your board to the monitor.
So meanwhile you can please start connecting your board to your.
Look at me what I'm gonna do. So this is the power, right? This is the power. That's the power, right?
Yes, that's the power.
The power of the last thing.
So we take the HDMI cord and simply insert it on the Raspberry Pi. So that's done. Now we insert it on the converter for the monitor. Yes.
Okay, I don't know what that was.
So you're gonna plug it to your monitor. Hey.
You're there. Now just power it in. Now we have to connect the keyboard and the mouse. So we need to remove the wires. Oh, you already have that?
You want
the keyboard and mouse.
You need the keyboard and the mouse from the computer.
So you have to remove the keyboard and the mouse from the bottom of the computer. For the first time it was a little bit problem, but eventually you get used to it.
Because we need to configure it. After that, it will be okay.
The idea now is that you're going to be working because this is your central computer and you're going to
We need, okay, guys, just listen to me. For a computer, what are you gonna need? A keyboard, a mouse, and screen. That's the computer, that's CPU. We're gonna use the monitor, the keyboard, and the mouse, plug them here. Alright? So there are 7 holes that you have to fill. Monitor, keyboard,
mouse,
and the power, the last, the power. Okay. And by the way, before you leave, you need to bring the computer the way it was. Okay, so make sure. This is in here.
Yeah, that's connected. And all we need to do is switch the circuit to VGA on the computer. So right here. No. Just go to the
It doesn't matter. It's all over.
Yeah, just power it up and you're done.
So three wires. 3 wires now, and you're gonna put the power.
Yes. What do you have? You don't have an SD card.
Where's my coffee?
SD card?
No, where's my coffee?
Okay, I'll give you another time. Just a second.
So guys, you see, it's the whole computer is starting now. It's a whole operating system starting with the.
That's the keyboard.
You can use this one or you can just switch it. You want to use this one? Just unplug it and I'll put this one. Is this okay? Yes, that is perfect. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Flip the monitor. Yes, it's already there in the micro SD card. Just connect the peripherals, that is keyboard, mouse, and the display. Maybe you're not. Okay, I can give you another one. Maybe that one is not working. If you want. All right, no problem.
Is there a good option for to log in or?
If it's not that, then
No, it logs in automatically. Yeah, it's already.
So I see this is like a full computer, full operating system.
There's a new one.
Thank you.
No problem.
But now,
This is a program, but when you're doing IoT, you want to deploy a sensor up there.
For the first time you have to do this. After that, you don't need
so
to.
this is now you are seeing what's now we're gonna program your. Are we gonna do it?
Yeah, first we need to configure a lot and I need to explain the entire user interface to everyone. And we'll go with the first experiment soon.
Yeah.
Is everyone huge? Doing good so far?
Just get
You can take the power from here. I have the adapter.
It's just like working on a server.
That's right. For the first time, you have to do this, but for the next time, you will be remotely SSHing into the file. So no need of display.
I've done that for a lot of the servers that I have.
Yes.
So we should change
Okay, so you go to the display, you go to the VGA port.
That's the VGA port?
Yes, that's correct, and you should see the display right on that. Just give it a while.
Yeah, change to VGA.
Did you
Are you
switch
good
it?
there? He can join us. Yeah,
Can you just switch it to VGA? Display, I think this way, and is it this way or this way?
In my opinion, usually it's more fun
Yeah,
to work
it's
in
okay,
group. Yeah, but some people like to work by themselves. You know. I mean, myself, I could partner with anyone, except my wife. Okay, she's gonna give me all the instructions all the time. So, right?
Can I have a look at it? It's fine. Could you try on the other monitor if you're having problems? I can replace the parts and stuff. Let me see. Boot up screen. So after you have booted up the Raspberry Pi, let's move forward. So for those one who have not got this screen, so you have to perhaps install the operating system later on with the SD card. You just need to flash it again. Might be a problem with the installation. So let's move forward and let me make you familiar with the operating system. How do you use it? So let me close this one. So this is the like a Windows button. You can go to the preference. So first, whenever you want to connect your Raspberry Pi to your laptop remotely without using a keyboard or a mouse, so you go to the Raspberry Pi configuration. You can press that, or else what you can do is you can go to terminal and press sudo raspi /config. This will open a blue screen on your computer. So either way, you can do it this way or you can do it the other way. The other way was go here, go to preferences, go to Raspberry Pi configuration. That's the two way you can do that. Now what is this blue screen? Basically, whenever you have installed your Raspberry OS for the first time, you need to configure your operating system. So here are the couple of stuff I'm going to walk you through each and everything. First of all is a change user password. So whenever you want to SSH into your Raspberry Pi, the default username is Pi and the password is Raspberry. So if you want to change that, if you don't want anyone to use your Raspberry Pi, you can change your password. So nobody else can SSH into your Raspberry Pi. So that's the first option, okay. Second is the network option. Let's go through that and see what do we have.
If we keep it Pi and Raspberry is fine.
Yeah.
So the best thing is keep it just the default.
But you can change it if you want. So, okay. So the next one is the network. In the network we have few configuration. Let me just walk you through that at least. So we have the Wi-Fi. Now let's say you are running a software. You don't want to connect your keyboard and mouse every time you plug your Raspberry Pi inside, right? That's pretty tedious, okay? So in order to connect automatically when your Raspberry Pi boot up to the Wi-Fi, so you can do a configuration. I can go to Wi-Fi. You can specify the SSID. SSID means the Wi-Fi name. In my case, it's Scientist 5G. If you go to the Wi-Fi on your mobile phone or laptop, you can see your Wi-Fi with Scientist 5G. And then you will ask for a password, so you can enter the password. That will be Bridgeport. That's the password for the Wi-Fi.
So you use your phone as a hotspot.
Oh no, we have a router here. I bought a router for them, so they can directly connect to the router here.
But this router is connected to
your college Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah.
So
and the home, you could connect to your Wi-Fi in the classroom or the library where you could hotspot your phone, hotspot, connect to it. Okay.
So the main thing is, if you want to use a Raspberry Pi remotely, so the thing is you have to be on the same Wi-Fi. Yes, you got it right. So on the same network, you have to be on the same network. Then only you can SSH into your Pi. So okay, let me just close this and walk you through a couple of more configuration. Then we have something known as boot option. What do we have that? So we have some screen resolution. If you want to change the resolution, so you can go and change them as well. Then the localization option is usually for the time, if you want to change the time for your Raspberry Pi. Now sometimes what happens is whenever you are using your keyboard, so whenever you try to press the @ symbol, so let's say my email ID is susha@, so your keyboard layout is a different, right? This is US keyboard. So if you want to change the keyboard layout, you can go ahead and do in the localization and option. So now let's just go over the SSH. So that's in the interfacing option. Here you see SSH. Let me enable it, say yes. Now it has already been enabled. Okay, now again I go to interfacing option, VNC. Now what is VNC? VNC is used for seeing your Raspberry Pi display remotely on your laptop. So you don't need this monitor anymore. You can see the entire Raspberry Pi screen and control it on your laptop itself. So that is the VNC. So go ahead on the VNC, say yes. So I have done that, okay. Again go to the interfacing option. Now you have a couple of more interfacing options. That is, if you observe, we have already done with the SSH, VNC, SPI, I2C, used when we are connecting sensors, all right. Then we have the serial interface, that when you want to connect any serial input to your Raspberry Pi, so you can do that. Remote GPIO is basically nothing but when you want to control your GPIO over the network, so you can do that as well. Just walking through all the options that you have here. Update is basically updating your Raspberry Pi. If there are any updates available, you can update it. After that, after when you're done with everything, just go ahead and finish it. And usually it is recommended.
So you enable two, the
VNC and SSH.
And SSH, that's it, for now. Okay.
It's
It's like
question. We don't have the same interface over there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like, we got like different options. We don't have the network.
Go to the first of all, you have to connect to the Wi-Fi. Make sure you connect to the Wi-Fi. The password is Bridgeport. And after that, you will see. Could you connect to the local Wi-Fi that I have here? Scientist 5G or 58657. No, because that's a public Wi-Fi, so you won't be able to SSH. So I would recommend to connect on my router. So I have password is Bridgeport, so you can enter it and close this option. Yeah, just connect to the Wi-Fi here. Press OK and you can close it up. Just close it up. I will show you a better way or easy way. Go to this, open preference, Raspberry Pi configuration. Or right there on the interface option, you can just enable it and.
I was talking about the terminal overclock.
Alright, so we have looked for the configuration of the Raspberry Pi, that is the SSH and the VNC server. So let me walk you through a couple of more things that when you install your Raspbian for the first time. So for the first time you have to update your Raspberry Pi, so the command is sudo apt get update. So this will update your Raspberry Pi, all the operating system, Okay, so all the operating system and everything would be updated to the latest version. So please run this command whenever you have booted your Raspberry Pi for the first time. Okay, that's done. Now, the way you install any library or any module or an interpreter, as you said, C++ or Python. So it's pretty simple through this terminal. I just say sudo. Sudo means for the privileged
super user.
Super user, yeah. Sudo apt get Python. It's that simple, or you can say sudo apt get install Python, and Python would be installed. Now let's say I want to install a particular library in Python. This is very important. Please pay attention on this. Let's say I'm using AI and I'm using TensorFlow or NumPy. So how do I install the library on my Raspberry Pi? simple. You have a command known as pip, as you know. So you can say pip install and the name of the library. Let's say NumPy, and hit enter, and it will install the NumPy. It will take time because the internet connection is a little bit slow.
So let me recollect the next So we went through how to connect your small computer, right?
Yeah.
So you need 4 wires to go now, right? Yeah. And you could display it in the screen. So why we need to do that for the first time, to enable the virtual machine and to enable SSH, right? Then after that, you're gonna show them how to connect remotely. Then after that, you don't need to plug the keyboard or the monitor or anything. It will be from your laptop. All right. That's why you need to bring your laptop with you next time.
So the first lab
and that's
is
why
usually slow.
just a second. And that's why it's very important that each one, have one of these machines with them. I just ordered like a bigger box, and we're gonna make a set for you.
Sure.
So each group will have the same set. So in case you change the password, you have the password, right? Don't change it for now. All right. Now after that, this before we go to this, you show them how to connect to.
Yeah, just a few more things, some basic stuff, which is involved. So here I have showed you how to install a library or a package in Python.
Yeah.
So pip install NumPy, you can see it's already installed. Now, where is the Python in this? So you can say sudo apt-get install Python, and here you see in programming, the Python is already installed. I have already done that. Yeah.
Anybody took Python with me?
Oh, lovely.
I am right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, you should go. We should take the Python class. You should. Okay, but I have the videos. I have the videos for this semester. I'm teaching Python, so just go over the first lectures.
Okay.
I could give you also my PowerPoint presentations.
And I also have the cheat sheet.
And you have the cheat sheet on all of that, so it's easy. You know, how about you?
I'm working it now in deep learning. So
In deep
working
learning.
on Python.
Excellent. So you know it very well. How about you?
I don't know Python.
You don't know Python? All right. You know English?
Yes.
That's it. There you
No.
go.
So
something
some
harder.
sessions for you on
Okay.
Saturdays. For
So I have my classes, my PowerPoint. I could send them to you. Send me an email. I could share them in the
Just put them up on the
I could put them in the canvas, and I have my you took Python, right? No, you know Python?
No.
So the same thing. How about you?
Someone taking your class.
You're taking my class right now. Okay, and you? No, same thing. Oh, and you taking so both. He's good. He's good. I know. He's in my class now, but he's good. All right. So and by the way,
everything will be uploaded by today. Yeah. It will be uploaded by today.
we'll do it. The other thing is, guys, for Python, even the codes you are writing are very simple.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's like a big code. You're gonna go certain place, change some lines. Like for example, the input output. You're gonna change this, make it input output. So you don't really need to understand a lot of things. All right. So it's kind of a black box. I taught this course for Bridgeport High School. Okay, Bridgeport High School. What a weird combination, right? Bridgeport, which is like poor school system, not like Trumbull, like Northfield, and high school. They don't know anything about. They don't know anything about what is transistor or about what is a resistor, what is breadboard, and all of that. So I was able to teach it, and they were so happy. Okay, after 5 weeks of teaching them, because I teach it like a black box. What I'm trying to say in here, even if you don't know Python, I'm gonna teach it for you as a black box. All right. Later on, when you try to develop your code, you have to understand a little bit Python. All right. So this course could be. So for example, how to connect the components in here. All right. There's 2 ways that you understand what is the components and why they are connected, or as a black box. Do it this way. Shut your mouth. Don't ask. All right. It's a black box. It's how it is, right? But look at how it works at the end, right? As a function. That's one way. You are, I think most of you coming from like, computer science, so you will be able to understand why you're gonna have a resistor. It's in the manual. Why it's connected this way? What is the power? How, you're gonna understand that, right? So if there's anything new for you, take it at the beginning like a black box as a part of the system, and then as you go, you'll learn. Am I correct?
Look for it. So let's connect your Raspberry Pi remotely to a laptop via SSH. So for the Mac users and for the Windows user, please pay attention here. So you want to go to your Raspberry Pi for the first time. Make sure you are connected on the same network. You can connect to my Wi-Fi. It's 586530 or Scientist 5G. We have a router.
So make sure you log to the UB Wi-Fi, log to the local Wi-Fi.
It should be locked.
You log to the local Wi-Fi.
Should we switch? You want to be
Oh,
locked?
it's got to go right from here.
Yeah.
I'm going to Harvard.
You keep switching now.
Is it choice?
Is it VPN?
Oh, yeah. I'm using VPN.
What was it? What was the network?
Right here, professor, it's on the screen, Scientist 5G or 58650. We have 2-1 and the password will be bridge code, BRIDG. BORD.
Turn it off and turn it on.
So I can see it on my laptop, but our Pi don't see it.
That network?
Just change it.
Okay.
No, it is. We saw it earlier, and we were both connected, but now it's gone.
Because might be a lot of users are connected to it, so it might get disconnected. You can just reboot your Pi.
I mean, I should not be allowed. This could take up to 50. I mean, did you configure it to a limit?
Yeah, I had a limit on my how much? Maybe 10 or 15 on my router settings.
Yeah, I think you should
Because
change
I'm on
it.
UB here through here. I know my
It's
laptop.
connected to UBL. Is it good?
Yeah, you can do that also. You can.
Yeah.
Because this one's on UB here too as well.
Okay.
Just make sure you're on the same one.
Okay.
Okay, let me just explain that and you can configure it.
Network as that.
Okay, so let's just move forward and show you how to connect it with the laptop right now, and you can try to configure it later on. So when you are done with that, you have to open your terminal on a Raspberry Pi and type in a command as VNC server, hit enter. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so VNC server, hit enter. So you have an IP address now, 192.168.0.106:2. So now you head over to your laptop. Let me just switch the input.
So you're starting in the Raspberry Pi, the server, and you're gonna go to your laptop.
Alright, so I have it here right away. VNC server, let me just write it down on the board. VNC server.
No space.
Alright.
Yeah.
So you open the Raspberry Pi and you insert the IP address 192.168.0.106. I think it was 2, right? So sometimes it usually has problem because I'm on the college Wi-Fi right now. Yeah, I'm just making sure everything is complete.
I tried to introduce it already at my house.
I have the Wi-Fi.
This is what we're gonna need to use.
And please pay attention on the terminal. If you're on a Mac, you just type SSH space PI, that's your username, @ and the IP address of your Pi. The way you know your IP address of your Pi is go to terminal and type in ifconfig. So I can just write it on the board. ifconfig.
SSH Pi.
CONFIG. That's the command. So you will know your IP address of your Pi. So you just have to say SSH Pi @ 192.168.0.106. And just want to make sure that I'm connected to the same Wi-Fi. If not, then it will create a problem. So, and that's it, and you would be able to connect to your Raspberry Pi remotely with SSH. So, just try out that for a while.
Okay, let me just explain, because I think you're confused now. So now you have your Raspberry Pi has to be connected to Wi-Fi, and your laptop has to connect to Wi-Fi. You agree?
Yeah.
Both of them need to be in the same network. So if you connect to UB network, to his router, same. That's number one. They have to be the same network. Clear this point?
Yes.
All right. Then you start with your Raspberry Pi. You go and you try to start the server, VNC server. It will give you an IP address. So this IP address you'll be able to access from your laptop. Can you do it from scratch again?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's do it. Just please pay attention here. So show this is what is this now?
This is the terminal that you have to open right now.
Go to the Wi-Fi. Okay, where are you connected now?
That's the Wi-Fi that I have connected.
Scientist 5G. That's your Raspberry Pi to Scientist, and his laptop to Scientist.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, agree? Now we're gonna go to terminal. Close the terminal.
All right.
Close it. Just open another terminal. So you go from here terminal. Okay, and you type iConfig. You know the IP address. That's the IP address 192.168.0.106.
So you copy that.
You copy that somewhere. Write that word.
So
what is it?
168.0.106.
Usually these are the same all the time. This will be changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Depending upon how many it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
So after you're done that, you need to just type in the command VNC server and hit enter.
So now we started the virtual machine, the server. And this is what?
The IP address.
That's the IP address.
That you need to put on the VNC server.
And it's the terminal 4. The same IP address, it's terminal 4.
Yes. So that's
Okay, terminal, I'm sorry, the port 4. Port 4. How you know the port over there? The port in here. It's a colon 4 in here. Colon 4. Same IP address. So now, guys, now your Raspberry Pi has an IP address. It's a computer. It's connected to the internet, right?
Yeah.
Now, also we started a server. How we communicate the server to client? Through ports, right? Right? There's a port. So what is a port in your server? Port. You check yours, right? So now we finish. Now you gotta go to the laptop. Now you go to your laptop.
And just type in the IP address on your VNC server.
Show them that you're connected to the same network. So that's his laptop. Just pay attention before you work. Pay attention here because you miss out. Okay, so show him that what is the connection. Go to the your Wi-Fi.
So that is the Wi-Fi that I'm connected to.
So he's connected to the same network, all right, and his Wi-Fi. Okay. Now you go to web browser, any web browser,
Or a VNC viewer or a terminal in your Mac.
Yeah. We have to download VNC viewer.
On the Windows and Mac, it has both has VNC viewer. So you just have to download it.
Windows has it also?
Yeah, Windows has it.
VNC now?
Yes. So you have to open the VNC. And just type in your IP address right there.
Which is in here. 192.168.0.106 port 4. Don't forget the port.
Yeah. I might have problem. Yeah. So I have been successfully connected now. I just need to enter my user
which is Pi and Raspberry Pi.
And I have changed the password because I don't want anyone to mess around with my Pi. And congratulations, I think it will open and it's a little bit slow. I have my entire Raspberry Pi on my laptop now, so I don't need a keyboard, mouse.
So now you can do whatever from your laptop as if you are connected to another computer. It's like a virtual machine.
So I don't need a keyboard, a mouse, or a monitor. I can program it through.
Another one, it's not working? Maybe we have, because you don't have more, maybe we need to burn one.
The first experiment that is blinking an LED through a Raspberry Pi. So most of you have installed the VNC viewer and were able to get the screen on your laptop. So that means congratulations. You don't need your keyboard, mouse, and a monitor anymore. You can program your Raspberry Pi remotely. Make sure you are on the same Wi-Fi network. So please pay attention here. You don't need a keyboard or a mouse. You can directly program it to your laptop.
Any laptop. There's no
Sorry? Yeah, everything. You just have to install the VNC viewer and yeah, you can. Yeah, everything is compatible. Any software is, any OS is compatible for this. Are you able to get the VNC, right? Are you connected to the same Wi-Fi network? Or you can connect to the professor's Wi-Fi? Just make sure you're connected to the same. Excuse me, please pay attention here. Let's move a little bit forward. So, yeah, I have my screen running. So your Raspberry Pi is already installed with the two interpreters, that is the Python, and in order to program your Raspberry Pi, if you go to programming, you have Genie and you have Python. So if you don't see these two options, you can just do sudo apt-get install Python. So the Python would be installed. Here you can see there are two options. So let me go ahead with the first experiment of Raspberry Pi. So I'm gonna open my software, that is Genie. So I have opened it, you can see. Now the first thing that we're gonna do is blink an LED. So let me open the first code.
It's a part of it, right?
Yeah, it's there in the manual, but I need to explain it. Alright, so here is the code. Let me explain you the basic code, very basic code. Import rpi.gpio as GPIO. So we are using the GPIO, so I'm importing the library. If you first of all, if you don't have this module, what you would do is pip install rpi.gpio. That's how you install a library. I just showed you installing a NumPy library. Import time, so I'm importing the time library from Python. GPIO.setMode. Then we have GPIO.board. As I mentioned in my slides, I have two configurations, that is the physical pin numbering and the GPIO. .board means I'm using the physical pin numbering, that is start from 1, 2, 3, 4. So here you can see that. GPIO.setup 3, that means the third pin, physical pin number, I'm using it as an output. What is an LED? It's an output, right? So I declare it as an output. You can see 3, output. Then I say GPIO.output. I have to turn it on, right? So I say by GPIO.output, the pin number, that is the 3, and low. Low means turn it off initially. Then print off, so I'm just printing a message so I know that it is turned on or off, okay. Time.sleep for 1 second. So sleep for 1 second, wait for 1 sec. GPIO.output pin number 3 as high, that means turn it on, turn the LED on, print the message known as on, wait for 1 second. GPIO.output 3 low, similarly I'm just turning it on, off, on, off, on, off. It will be 2 times. The way you run this code is you have 2 options to run this. So
this is a Python code for turning the LED on and off. If you understand Python, it's very easy. If you don't, just don't worry about it. Black box. Alright? Black box, right?
Alright, so this is a code basically. The way to execute your code is using 2 ways. So if you are using Genie, that is the interpreter, so here you have an aeroplane icon. You can just click on the aeroplane icon and here you can see off, on. So the code has been running on a Raspberry Pi. Now the code was terminated and I can hit enter and I will be back on my main screen. But if you are not using Genie and if you are using a Python interpreter, and so the way you do is go to terminal and I'm going to say cd desktop. So I'm just going to the desktop directory, cd. So you have to go to the desktop directory and then you have to say ls to see the list of the files that are there on my desktop. So these are the list of the file. Now if you want to execute a piece of code, how do you do that? That is Python, yes. Then the name of the file, example1.py, and you simply run it. So off, on, so the program is running. So I showed you 2 ways to run Python, is using Genie software and using
Let's focus on Genie. We're going to get confused. Let's focus on one right now. Genie.
Alright.
Genie, right? Now let's we're going to connect the port.
Alright, we can connect it.
Yeah. So now this run on and off in the screen. Now we need it to be reflected in the bitboard.
So please, those who are, you can just type in the code. Meanwhile, I'm just going to show you the hardware diagram, how to connect the board.
File, just search them. Go to Genie. Everybody has Genie now? Yeah. Okay. You
So
go
here,
File,
programming,
Genie,
Genie.
and then File to open a new one.
Yeah, just open a new one and start typing.
Funny and type it, okay?
And save it as .py.
Is it? But it's available in the menu. Right?
Yeah, they can do that. But it's better to program it because they have a practice.
So show
Alright,
so now open Genie. I'm sorry about you. We'll fix you in a second. Okay. Okay, Jenny, open a file, give it a name, okay, and start typing.
It takes practice. So let me show you the first hardware interface.
So one of you starts the typing and the other two listen here.
All right, I'm gonna distribute the hardware in a while, so just pay attention about the connection. So an LED, this is how an LED is represented on. It has two terminals, okay. One is the longer end of an LED, that is the positive terminal. The shorter end on the LED is a negative terminal. So we have two terminals, that is the longer end, that is positive. The shorter end, that is negative. I have it here. I'll just show you. So the way you connect your LED to your microprocessor or Raspberry Pi, so the longer end, that is the positive, will go to the GPIO pin. In my case, I have said number 3, so there will be a wire from third pin to the LED. The negative terminal will go to the ground, and that is pretty much it for the connection. And that is the code, and I'm going to distribute the hardware to you. Try to do it. Yes.
Just distribute. We will show them what it is.
Okay.
So each one will have one LED.
Just one LED is fine.
That's an LED.
I'm going to give you the wires as well. You should be having the wires inside the box, but if you don't have it, I can give you the wires.
That's one LED. That's one LED, I'm sorry for you. Okay, so each one of you had one LED. So you're gonna have female,
Sorry? No, that is correct. That is what correct.
so they're gonna have 3, right? Because they have
Just
power.
Just power and So you have wires. Who does not have the wires? Can raise your hand, please.
This one in here.
Do you have wires?
No, we don't have wires. We don't have wires.
That's the 2 wires. Do you have wires? I'll come back with you. We'll do it everything.
Where is the ground? Where is the plus 5 button? Where is the LED?
Let me just show the code.
Three transistors to do that.
Oh no, you don't need that one. This
All you have to do. So these are connected together, and these are switched. So right, this is.
So you're working on pin number 3, and I'm using the board configuration. So if you hold your Raspberry Pi right this way, so this is 1, 2, 3. This terminal on the Raspberry Pi. On the left hand side, second terminal on the left hand side.
On this one is gonna go your ground, and this is gonna go to your 5.
Yeah, the third terminal. So 1, 2, 3.
Look now in your system. Where is the 5 volt? Where is
And the ground terminal is the third pin from the right hand side. If you hold the Raspberry Pi right this way, Ethernet board facing downwards. On the right hand side, third pin is the ground. And on the left hand side, second pin is the GPIO. You can go over to the pinout on the Google. You can see the pinout just in case if you require it.
So which page in the manual is the one we're doing right now?
Yes, I've just changed the pin numbers. You can change the pin numbers.
Where are we doing the one that's in the manual?
It's there in the manual. Yes. Everything is there in the manual.
So there should be, the schematic should only have one LED.
So this is
right?
Yep, that's right.
to the right is the ground.
We'll go back by pin.
Push 6 is going to go off and on and off and on.